At some point, you will just say, "Ah, okay, better really."
Yeah.
Fine,
You'll get used
just
to that.
imagine
Just
Div in his
stop.
underwear.
Well.
I'll be right
don't-
back. I'm gonna go get some water.
Okay, well we're live
Wow.
now, guys. Keep
What a start.
it PG-13.
I think I need like wine or something. Oh my god.
Okay, so we have about 5 minutes. I'm parked outside Rhapsody's, and then I'll go to Fang's.
Let me come over to Rhapsody's too, actually.
I need to put on a nice glam too.
I have a fucking butler glam. I'm so glad I... What was it even for? I think the O2 thing? Yeah, a friend helped me out with that. When the UK event happened with O2, we just had to use the app or something. Let's see. And I have so much struggle making new alts. Hello Blue, making new alts on servers because every time I try, they're just full and I can't make any.
Is that a
Hey, Blue.
Japanese server?
No, not
This one?
not
No.
even Japanese.
Cerberus.
No, in servers like I can't even. First of all slots on servers for alts are filled on my end, but transferring to Ragnarok and back takes 2+ hours, maybe 3.
That was
Because
very awful.
Yeah. Last week when I tried to visit Maxine's place, it was on Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
I tried to transfer from with my main from Cerberus, and I stood in queue for 2.5 hours, and I was still in queue as 4th or something. So that was a thing. It was really annoying. So I just don't bother anymore.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Did you
Also, I
guys?
thought.
Did you guys do the stress test with the Fate?
No.
How did people?
no,
How
I
did
forgot.
people? How did people even get there? Because you're imagine at this point in the most populated times or the prime time, right? People can't even get to the world. How are they gonna be like, oh fuck, it popped in
Well,
Cerberus. Well, good
I
luck
think-
getting there, nerd.
Yeah, I think that was the point of the stress test.
Yeah. But I didn't see. I wasn't online when the message popped up. I don't know what time it was.
I was able to do crowded, so I couldn't teleport there.
God. Oh yeah, right. The instance.
Yeah, yeah.
Instance 1, 2, and 3. I imagine back then, when Stormblood release was a thing, and we had so many different instances. Oh, I'm in instance 1. Where the fuck are you? Oh, I'm in instance 2. Wait, I'm gonna try to get to you. Man, that was so annoying.
Oh my goodness, your trundle bed is so cute.
Wait, what? Oh god, I gotta see that. Let me come over.
It's so adorable. I need 20 of them.
Also, Raps.
Yes.
I decided I will never build with a LFL again.
But I love it.
The perspective, I can't, my camera's glitching through every single thing. I'm trying so hard to place things, and then I realize, oh fuck, this is perfect for Y size. But what about a fucking Rodigan or Aura? They're not gonna fit in there. And I just regret it now.
Well,
But
it's
what-
perfect because I'm a Lalafell and that's my house, so
Okay, that's a fair point. I think that's...
immersion div.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, I give you.
So I guess that's the takeaway from this is you decorate whatever your client is.
I would agree. Yeah.
I will add some lore to that hut. Which Lalafell.
I am so cute. Look at me.
All right. Well, it's top of the hour, so we can start.
Oh fuck!
What did she do?
That's a good way to start. Well,
Hello,
hi
gang.
everyone.
7 Pat.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
Are.
Yes,
We've
we
been live
are.
since 5 minutes.
We have
really?
actually been live, but now we are really, really live. Truly, it's time to start.
Official. So I sent out the tweet
Jesus.
because I thought we were going to be talking about colors. You know, I have the memory of a goldfish. And so
fine.
instead we're talking about layouts and how we structure layouts, whether we change the floor plan. I would say that this would be a continuation of last week of how we use the space, if we use all of it or we cut corners. But for the most part, this is about restructuring the layout to what you want. And we have Feng Lin of Zodiark, who has been making awesome designs. And
came like out of nowhere.
Yes.
Yeah. Gotta add to that thing, like, no one really, I don't think I've seen any of your builds before, and then someday he just popped in FD and was like, oh, I did a commission. And it was so good, and then he dropped the fucking bombshell on us. The fucking house he has right now, the small.
Yeah.
And everyone was just in awe. This was so beautiful, and it's something completely new. And layout-wise, it's something we have seen similar layouts before by people like BG, the typical multi-floor builds, the modern ones, but we haven't seen something with such detail in it.
And
Because
bold
usually-
colors.
Especially the colors, because usually, you know, we have the white, slick, modern designs with multiple floors, for example. But this time we have colored walls. We have so many different aspects about the build that make it interesting. And even during the work in progress, I remember you posted a lot of screens, right? And we were already all over it. Especially me. I was like, holy shit, did you see the thing he did in the back with the windows and stuff like that? And this is something I want to see
Legit, all
more
of us, we were talking, we were like, where did
Yeah.
it come from? He's like, he didn't even like go through all the growing pains, like he's just suddenly, bam, amazing. Like, what?
A real underdog, basically.
Like
Dark
I've been
horse.
always doing like small stuff, but I don't know. Maybe I just haven't been like actively posting screenings of what I do. Like yeah, maybe yeah. I think I just haven't been actively posting stuff. That's it.
How long have you been playing Final Fantasy XIV?
I think a bit more than half a year.
Oh, so you
Oh,
really
wow.
did come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, my
I
goodness.
guess I did.
Welcome to the game. Welcome. So you were posting your first viral houses as a sprout. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh,
What
now that
the
I think
heck?
about it, I think you mentioned it at the beginning. You were like, "Oh, I recently started this game. I did a commission for a friend." And we were all like, "Wait, what?" I remember it now, actually.
Yeah.
wasn't a long time
Okay.
ago.
So the first commission that I think I saw you post had a lot of like ashen tones to it. I think I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
seeing the back.
It was so detailed,
Very
especially the bedroom.
beautiful.
It was really a style that you weren't like the style you're now known for. It's this modern, colorful one.
Yeah, it's
but this
very
was
different.
Yeah, it's super different. And imagining that you started out of nowhere, I'm just curious. Did you play like we did this when we talked about us and how we started off? But for example, like we played Sims, we played other games which includes decoration like Fallout. Was there something similar for you? Because these started
Sims.
seemed super easy for you. Sims,
Yeah,
okay, yeah,
defo.
I knew it.
defo.
I knew
I
it.
come from Sims.
Okay.
How
Have you
long have
played
you
an
connected
MMO
there?
before? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's fine, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I was just curious about, have you played an MMO before that, or like just before this one, or were you just mostly playing?
And this is my second MMO. I have played that that Star Wars, The Knights of Old, what is it? Old Republic one.
Sure. Okay.
Yes.
Did
Okay,
that have
but-
housing in it?
Yeah, that didn't include anything, right?
Yeah, I think there's no housing scene in Star Wars online. No.
But
Aw.
is there an option? Is there an option for housing?
Yeah, I think there are houses, but there aren't really many options to like you can't really like decorate houses, you know.
Oh,
Okay.
so something like in Skyrim with the I forgot the name, but you can get a house and you can add some furnitures, but you can place them manually.
like
So-
some
Wow,
you
garrisons
can't
and
really,
their
like, decorate.
statues.
Yeah.
It's not as detailed as in this game.
yeah.
Sure.
Well, Sims is a lot more detailed, though.
Yeah, Sims is very detailed, but in Sims you can't really like I like building structures, obviously as you have seen, and in Sims you can't really build structures, or you
Oh.
kind of can. I think like I like doing like custom windows and custom walls, and that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
shaping stuff, and you can't really do that stuff in Sims, right?
That's
Oh,
very
okay.
true. Sims is much more modular. Like you put pieces together. Like imagine ARR where items had their purpose and they have been used for that purpose. But at this point in 14, we use things that are completely unconventional, not even supposed to be done for that, and you can't do that in
exactly.
Sims.
It's like
Using
Minecraft,
furniture for
and I
their
kind of
purpose.
like that. I like building things.
I really know what you mean. I think there are other MMOs like I think EZO, like Elder Scrolls Online, has a housing
Yeah.
system, but also in that it's similar to Sims, where you have modular pieces which are supposed to be used for their actual
Yeah, I've
purpose.
been under the same impression too.
Yeah, have you played EZO?
Yeah, I played ESO, but I never got into housing.
I heard it's expensive. It's much easier and accessible in Final Fantasy. Oh well,
Yeah,
never mind. I take that back.
think
It's
so
not.
too.
Maybe.
So-
maybe for apartments.
Feng, you have been nicknamed unofficially Fashion Decoration Discord the Architect, and you were mentioning how you really like building structures and
Yeah, I
the
really do.
architecture of the room. I saw you took that crown molding to like the next level all the way around. What do you like? I guess where obviously you look at real life pictures for inspiration. Those of us
Yeah,
in
I do.
FD Discord have seen that, but like what draws you to that? Like why this realistic modern architecture? What makes that so appealing to you?
Well, obviously, a lot of it comes from BJ, because I think I saw some of his designs like many months ago, but I wasn't familiar with his work in general, and then I just kind of slowly got into it, and I started thinking like, hey, I could do this stuff too. Like I could start learning from him actually. Like this is not like it's not rocket science, Like I could do this stuff too. And then I started exploring and noticed that like I can build this stuff too. Like I can start using these walls in a weird way, and I can try to go for looks that depicts like real life, like that crown molding, yeah. Like I just noticed that I can do things like I can try to imitate what others do.
Sure. So you
Yeah.
took that same concept of, imitating and learning from someone that you admire and
Yeah.
you would consider a master in the craft, and then you were like, well, I mean, if they can do it, I can learn from them and then build off of that and create my own style. And I really like how your builds are not quite as stark as BJ's. Yours have a lot of detail and they look affluent and very elegant. They have a lot of like gold, and I think, what did you call it? You called it like you had this really like awesome fusion term for it, like glamorous or something like that.
Eleganza extravaganza. That's from
Extravaganza. I love it.
Perfect. It perfectly describes your style. Hey, so what other like fusion words would you use to describe your style? Like just mash some words together. Let me hear them. Or
You
just
really-
like pick,
Don't
pick
put
really
him on the
words.
spot.
Okay, okay.
Really-
Pick
I was
3
also gonna
words
say
that
that.
you would use to describe your style.
Defo eleganza and
You don't have to mash them up.
You don't know.
no, I can't really. I feel like I can't really come up with anything right now. But yeah, it's quite classic. Yeah, elegant.
Yes.
I
very.
would say that too. It's very,
Lush,
very
sometimes
elegant.
lush.
Lush.
It looks.
I like
it looks
that.
lush. It looks posh. It looks like a rich person.
Yeah,
lives
it
there.
looks like super
Yeah,
luxurious.
yeah.
It looks super luxurious, and this is the thing. When I look at the pictures you took of the first build you did, in this case, this not the first build, but this build we are looking at currently, it just feels so luxurious. And I think the putting benches, the way how you did all those extra details around the edges of the walls, they add so much to that, and I really, really love it.
Thank you.
I think it was well said what you mentioned about BJ and looking at his stuff, as in, I can do that too. And I think when looking at someone who makes something beautiful and it might look challenging, it's really not. In fact, I like that you were inspired by it and have made it your own. Because yes, BJ does these stark things. I would say more Scandinavian. And yours is
he
very
likes
warm.
white a lot.
Yes,
He likes
Yeah.
white.
A man
That's-
after my
I
own
like
heart.
black. Like I like using grey and black a lot.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
But you make them
Darker
very
colours.
warm.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say
that's true too. Yeah, I don't like doing like cold stuff or making it seem like distant. Like I like making it warm by using these dark colors.
yeah, and the way that you use the orange lights, a lot of people use kind of white lighting for modern and I would say more contemporary, but you do a lot of orange and
Yeah,
low
yeah.
lighting.
I think also what plays into that, the way it looks like it's super luxurious and extravagant. I think white isn't really the thing for it. I think when I think of luxurious and stuff like that, I think of black and gold, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Same.
think your build captures it so much better than BJ's builds, in my opinion. Like, if I think about a rich person's real life place, I would tend to say your place is captured that feeling much better. I don't know, it's just a clean white color doesn't reflect
Yeah.
that well with luxurious kind of themes, in my opinion at least. I don't know how it is for you guys, but that's just
The
my
clean
opinion.
white looks very sterile, which is why you would use the word clean, but these look like old money. These look, you know what I mean? Like, these look
Oh,
like
yeah, exactly.
you've had, whatever, a Da Vinci in your house for as long as you can remember, so much that you just don't even think about, like, oh, that's just some painting on the wall, like, I don't know.
Yeah, but I really appreciate that modern style with darker colors, because this is something we usually don't see at all. This is also maybe why I love your build so much, because I'm a person who loves darker colors. And I don't like modern usually, because I always associate it with light white colors. But you gave me a new perspective into that, and I really want to say it inspires me too, as a person who has never done modern builds but really maybe wants to start with it sometimes. This is something I would be inspired by and also copy, because copying and working with other projects that you see online is something how you grow as a person, like we talked about before. Rhapsody talked about it too when we first introduced ourselves. She said the exact same thing, if I remember it. She started with it, she got into the game with Stormblood, right? Like,
Yeah, just a year ago I started.
yeah, and I remember how you said that you just started copying stuff. You literally said, "Oh, I looked at it and I thought I could do that too." That's legit what you said, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And this is something remarkable. I really like that mindset.
So,
And also,
Feng-
it's the mentality that you start thinking like this is not rocket science. Like I can learn these things. I can get good too.
Exactly. Obviously, if you're looking at it, you're seeing a picture of it, there's clearly proof that it was done, so you can do it. Like, it's possible within the game parameters, so everyone can do this. Everyone can learn how to do this. There are so many guides and there's so much information out there, so much more even, I would say, than there was when even I started, and it makes it really easy to jump that learning curve. And Feng is just like
He doesn't jump, he just leaped.
he started flying immediately. And so, did you follow a lot of guides at all, or did you just kind of like figure it out yourself?
I do follow Shay's videos and House and Snap. I've been always using House and Snap. Like, I'm so addicted to it.
Just refreshing the page all over.
And I think I did read some guides too. Yeah. But I never
Okay.
learned to do the old float trick. Like I just never learned that. Like it was so difficult.
Wait, which one are we talking about right now? The usual tabletop, or which one are you talking about?
By placing the like the stage on
Oh, Windows.
yeah, on window
Oh,
sills
yeah.
and on like
That sounds
pillars.
cool.
Like, I
Oh.
never learned that. It was so difficult.
As I said last time, I tried it, but I gave up at some point. The guides now are so much easier to understand, and I think people are
They are.
afraid because they look much more complicated than they are, in my opinion. Especially the early guides. We and Ashen, at least me and Ashen, we had a few troubles when we saw, oh, you have to use a Hingen desk, then you have to use another surface. What
Yeah.
the hell? But then
Yeah,
then they just said, oh yeah. Wall shelves just work into the lofts, and we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
thank
easy
God.
enough. That saved, to be honest, that saved me. Just the old
Mhm.
guides, the first ones, nice concept, very nice that it works, but it was just too complicated, and now it's so accessible, but people still have this in their mind that it's so hard to do. But it really isn't. It's just like,
It just takes time and patience and learning it.
especially the patience needs to be
Yeah,
there. If you're
yeah.
giving up like me with the loft float, you're not gonna get anywhere really.
So is this picture that we're looking at now, is this an in progress or what? Because I don't see your tiles on the corner fireplace like I remember seeing.
I think that was work in progress, right?
Now I can see
I can
that.
post this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is work in progress. So actually, at first I was going for white. Like I thought, like this is going to be a white build.
You see much more BJ here, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I,
for sure.
I think so too. Like I was seriously thinking that I'm going like full white right now, but then I realized I don't know, something happened, and I started thinking like I don't have to like I was consciously thinking that I don't have to imitate like BJ that much. Like I don't have to go full white. Like let's try some colors, and then I tried, I started with black and gray because I just love black and gray, and accidentally I tried yellow, and then I noticed that yellow actually I never tried this color before, and it works super well with black. I was like
Oh
this
yeah.
build is
I
gonna
mean,
be,
there's a
like-
whole song about it, so.
yeah.
As I said, luxurious black and yellow. This is what I personally associated it with, and I remember how I remember this white build. You posted those screenshots in FD, right? We talked about it. People gave their opinion. You asked for opinions a lot, and this is what
Yeah.
influenced the build a lot, in my opinion too. At first it was white, and then you added those tiles beneath and above the fireplace, right? And we
Yeah.
were
We're
like,
seeing a vibrant red.
and yeah, the red and black tiles. At some point, you asked, "Oh, how you guys like the yellow ones?" And no one was really a fan of it. But because it was the tiles, right? You didn't just use the different colored rectangular walls. But you just kind of messed with our opinions, and it worked out so well. Like this is something which I want to encourage more. Ask about your opinions in a work in progress channel, for example, or with
Yeah,
other people you know who do housing, because it's gonna help you out so much. Because you don't know how it's gonna look like if other people don't bring their opinion in. Just straight out ask. There's
Yeah.
what's the worst that could happen? Nothing. Like that's it.
Well, and so it brings in other influences, so that you don't feel like you're just stuck doing the same thing over and over again. I know
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of designers. This was even mentioned, not even an hour ago. Someone was saying, "What? Like, I always feel like I just end up doing the same thing. Like, I do the same
Yeah.
bed, I do the same couch. Like, I kind of feel like I'm in a rut with that. Like, if you are willing to open yourself up to other designers, not necessarily taking over your design, but giving you some input, you might try something new and see something different and like it, but you have to commit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't
There's a lot of
commit, then you
commitments.
just do it halfway and you're like, oh, this doesn't look good, because if you only do it halfway, it's not gonna look good.
Yeah, I think that's a.
really important.
Oh, sorry, thanks.
Yeah, sorry. Too.
But what I was going to say was, I think committing, and when you start to make progress on something and you get a better idea of it, then it becomes I'm going to have to take this down and redo it to make it better. And I think that's the mental hurdle for people.
I think the mental hurdle of overcoming the time, thinking about the time you sink into the build, you just don't have to think about even how you spent your time on a build. I mean, of course, if you are a person who works a lot and you don't have that much time on your hands because you're raiding or spending time with your family and stuff like that, it's kind of stands in your way. Just do it.
Yeah, that's a sunk cost fallacy.
Just mess around with it, and at some point it will either look better than you thought, or you can just turn back to whatever you did before. There's not much included in that. Sometimes you have to float a few items, but it depends on how you want to spend your time, really.
Well, so talking about time and investing time into these builds, do you, Feng, I know what we do, do you plan your layouts beforehand, especially the stuff that you're going to have to float ahead of time?
Yeah, I do have to. Let's say the one here in the stream, I didn't really plan out this layout. Like, this was born out of an accident. Like, I just thought, like, okay, the loft could be here and the stairs could be there, and
so it's very organic.
Yeah, and I was improvising a lot. But in my later builds, I did plan out my layouts. Like, I felt like, okay, now I need to start planning my layouts because I'm going for structures that will take a lot of time to do. So, of course, I don't want to mess up too many times. Although I actually did mess up many times. And
How?
Waste a lot of I started like floating. Like, I think for my third commission, I did like, what was the second one? I don't remember. I think it was the second one. Yeah, the second one. Yeah. Like, I went for, like, I think I did like 3 different layouts for this client, because I forcefully tried to incorporate these squares that I did in this build, in my own build, into that layout, and I noticed that it just didn't work. Like, I tried many different layouts with these squares that I did, these walls that you see, and it just didn't work. And I tried like many times with different lofts and different stairs and different walls and not walls, I mean floors. And yeah, this one, yeah, exactly this one.
Oh.
And I realized that I have to abandon these squares because these squares just don't pair with anything. Like I have, it's
Sure.
like I had tried these squares already, so now I had to go for something different.
So, when you're planning them out ahead of time, do you draw them, or do you just have them mentally, like shower thoughts?
I did draw some walls that you can see here, and the ceiling too.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
Oh, so you basically did you write it down? Did you what I was about to say? Sorry. Did you kind of did it in paint, or are you actually having like a paper in front of you which you pin up afterwards or something like that? Because you can see the typical the levels of the ceiling, for example. I see that the one in the bedroom, I don't know if it's actually just a visual effect I see. Is it lined up with the little column sphere that are sticking out of the ceiling? Because I can tell, because the ceiling height is different in the bedroom and the living area, right? How exactly does it align? Is it like...
Are you asking if the rafters on the ceiling in the different rooms align with each other?
Yeah, exactly. That was my question. Sorry about that.
No, I don't think they do. Yeah, I don't think they do.
It doesn't look like they do. It helps create a definition to make them look like separate rooms, I think, in my personal opinion. Because, I mean, it doesn't look like you tried to center the chandelier between the rafters at all, so it almost makes it look like an older building that's been remodeled and like made into a more modern, like, so it was like an older building that's then been like sheetrocked over, and these beams and stuff have been added later, but it's still got like an older feeling to it. That's what it looks like to me, even though we know those are white rectangular partitions and whatever these are, the bottoms of are those carpets or are those the bottoms of the tiles?
Those are the bottom of the tiles. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's got that like cement look to it.
Yeah, I think this is the reason why you would say it looks like an older building was there before. I think the tiles really make a really great job of that. Something like a carpet, like wool rug, wouldn't just give you the same feeling.
Well, the wool rug looks very like smooth when you get screenshots, but the bottom of the bathroom tiles looks more like plaster. It looks cement to me in game, but in the screenshots it looks more plaster.
Exactly,
and it does.
I think this transitions. This is a good commission because this transitions in your newest build, which is like this European kind of style. Like how I was all over that ceiling with the details. Yeah. Like it was how my real life is, because I also live in an older renovated European kind of building, and it also has the same exact feeling. And I was just like feeling home when I looked at that picture. There you go. You see how he improved on the rectangular walls? He only had one level, but he added another level to that. This rounded it up so well, and it also lined so perfectly with that cement wall. Just made me feel so good.
Really good. I remember looking at stuff in Final Fantasy housing and thinking, wow, I really wish I had a way to make crown molding. And this was before the loft glitch that I remember having this thought. Like, just looking at stuff, I'm like, I wish there was a way that I could figure out without using like just these base partitions and stuff, because I didn't like using the glade partitions and all that. I need crown molding. And I never really thought about it again until Feng started doing this. I was like, oh my goodness, there it is. That's what I needed the whole time.
Yeah, I shamelessly copied it.
It takes a lot of time to get that look. Like it was very painful.
I can imagine.
Especially with the rectangle wall snapping all the time, and you have to re-enter the house praying that you snapped it correctly and locked it into place, right?
I can just imagine it would be pretty methodical. Here's my question though: is this grid snapped distance? Like, are they just in front of each other grid snap?
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. See, so that's not that bad. You just lay them out, lock them, and then they're up there. Yeah. They're done. You can work on the rest of the house.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, above our Discord icons, you can see how it's perfectly, like, the distance between each other and the wall is just perfectly aligned. Because placing that with the manually would be very painful.
Oh, that would be much more painful.
Thank goodness for grid snap.
Now, Feng, you mentioned planning out your builds, and I remember in the past you mentioned mainly wanting to work on smalls. Is that because of your pre-planning?
I guess so. Or I don't know. It's just like doing like one for builds, because you can focus on details and I don't know. You can have so much more one floor. So
you can do that in a medium and a large.
Yeah.
And you get more items.
Well, that's true too. I don't know, maybe I'm just afraid of working on big houses.
Oh, you shouldn't be afraid. I want to see you work on a large.
You should be enthusiastic, because you just get double the amount of items with a whole lot more space. Because, okay, here's the thing. I would love to see... Let's talk about Ashen's house for a minute. That and her, like, just the house that she did before that, her commissions, where she built up. We talked about this last week, how she built custom stairs and a total custom layout, how you come into the house, and in her personal house off to the right there's like this old like wooden staircase that bends in around on itself and goes up to the upper floors. Like, you can take your crazy layouts to literally the next level.
Yeah.
Actually, I can just imagine a huge since I think this style that you're going for in this build in particular, because of the walls and the ceiling, I think like something like a ballroom or something similar like that. Something European styled again, right? Something that has a lot of detail but also is very, very chic. That's the correct name for it.
Yes.
It would be so
sheep,
great to
but
see
cheap.
that.
Oh my god.
Smile when you say it. Beach.
I'm just
Sorry,
gonna mute myself.
that's just-
You can continue. No, you just enjoy talking. I'm
That's
just gonna mute myself.
my English as a second language teacher coming out. Smile when you say beach.
A beach. Well, this is actually a good transition for us since we were talking about layouts. We're going to look at Rhapsody's newest FC. She changed the layout. I haven't been, so this is going to be brand new.
This is gonna be everyone's torture of seeing the all white everything. Just white and black. It's one of those white and black modern.
But it has a lot of elements that we haven't seen before in other builds, and this is something that I was really hyped about when you posted the workable screens. Especially the
good.
pie. Oh, well, I'm not gonna spoil it.
It's daytime. All right, let's go in. Yeah, I've never been. This is my first time. You just did it. Very excited.
You should put your chat cover up before Div starts summoning again.
Cover it. No, it's fine. It's covered. It's spent away. Okay.
Small but evil. Love it.
Yeah, that's my Lala.
All right, here we are. So when you first walk in, this is a large. She closed off the staircase. This would be the beginning of it.
Love these windows. Like this is absolutely gorgeous.
So those are
Yes.
definitely BJ's. Like,
Yeah.
no doubt.
I think those are the ones we used to talk about the window designs last week, right? Is this the one we
exact
used as
ones,
always?
yes.
Oh, those are the exact ones, even.
Those are the ones, and we've
There's the
got
coffee machine.
yes, HGXIV's famous coffee espresso
People
maker.
love it. Yeah, people on Twitter were all over it, posting screenshots of it. I loved it so much.
How high is your ceiling here? So you wanted to show vaulted windows the very first thing when you walk in. It makes it very impressive.
I don't know how to explain how high it is. It is. I want to say that
railing?
troop stage is about even with the bottom of the next floor.
I can just cheat with my camera.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's not letting me.
That's because I did good.
Yeah, you layered it good. Everyone's like, ugh, all these custom builds with the camera collisions. And it's like, visit one of Rhapsody's houses.
I made this place solid. Like, there are not many places where the camera goes crazy in here. Because it bothers me. Like, ever since Ashen mentioned it to me once, like, right when I first started decorating, I was like, ooh, you mean you can stop that?
Yeah, always put a wall behind things.
Mm-hmm. There's the gym with literal basketball.
It's
Man,
just so
this
awesome.
This is
very
such
cute.
I just want to talk about it again. How, like, the same thing I mentioned before, using things that are not supposed to be used for a fucking treadmill. Like, who would think of that in another game, for example? Like, in Sims, you're so limited to actual items in the game or modded items. But in here, you just go for it.
That is one thing that's, I think, really unique about the Final Fantasy housing community is that it's really a good thing. Like, it's encouraged to combine all these different items. The basketballs, Blue Tiny Braves, Naoshi, I think that's you, is the unmoving Meneki Mukul. I think that's how you say it. It's just their palms. Yep, I cut off their palms and used them for basketballs.
Did you put a
But
window
yeah.
right here?
Oh, where?
Right underneath the basket?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay.
I needed to hide the ears were sticking through. I
Oh
needed
my
to
God.
hide the ears. But yes, there's a window down there. But it's highly encouraged and people love when you make these interesting furniture combinations. Like, it's not something that you really see in a game like Sims. You don't mash things together. to create something else, you know? I love it about this game.
Let's
Yeah,
look
me
at her
too.
ceiling work real quick.
No, it's terrible. Don't look at it. I had to give up. Okay, so I really, really, really wanted to use partitions to hide all of those lines where the lofts meet, and I ended up not having the items for it. Oh, why are you focusing on this, Ashen? This is so... Anyway. But yes, I really, my goal was, and you can see it in the first room, the sitting room, I used the white rectangular partitions to hide the lines of where the lofts meet. But I was not able to do that because even with 400 items in a large, I still did not have enough items.
I can totally understand, but as we said before, it's a real hard thing. You will love it at first to have 400 items when you're first starting to work on a large, but at some point you will notice you are running out of space real quick.
Right.
Especially if you're just going out, yeah.
Oh, Ashen's pointing out that I shoved my NPCs into the locker.
Yeah, it's functional.
Oh, yeah. It's really functional. It's such a unique idea because people usually place them to be visible.
Usually behind a bar.
Yeah, something stereotypical like that, but this time we have something completely new. I always hide my NPCs because I don't like them. I just don't like the character designs, and hiding them inside other things, especially a locker, it's just funny. Just hiding them in a locker.
I felt that was really appropriate for a gym, was hiding NPCs in a locker.
Go put on your
Are
bathing
we
suit,
going-
Div.
Oh
I'm
no!
naked.
Naked Div!
We need to pixelate it.
Oh my god. I don't have any.
Oh, you look so cute, Rhapsody.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
Give me a second. Give me a second.
No,
Just look at this.
don't!
No. There we go.
You're showing off all my sad things. Okay, so here's the sad thing about this build, right? On Div's client, he's on top of that loft, right?
Wait, what?
creepy.
Wait. Am I not on?
Look,
what?
Look at the...
You're not.
your
So,
hand
okay.
is right there. It's gross.
Okay, Ashen, do me a favor. Go to the workshop or anywhere.
No,
Leave the house.
we're gonna stay
Leave the
here.
No, do it.
No. What?
Look at his poor hand.
It's gross.
Okay, but, like-
hey, wait, what's this other portion sticking out, Div? Wait.
Oh.
Don't worry about it. Seriously, I would love for you to showcase how you can actually lay on top of the thing. But if you leave the instance and Div is dozing, and then you come back in and he's already dozing, then he will be on top.
Yeah.
That's
It's just
cursed
this
housing.
weird. It's a really weird thing with hiding beds under things. Like if you get too high up, then they just like to a different surface. It's really weird. But
Yeah, it
on
is.
your own client, you're on top.
It looks fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
So that's
Was-
so yeah, this is one way of changing the layout of a large. I mean, it looks completely different. You hit the columns. You used
yeah.
a lot
So
of
I
the
wanted.
space.
I like to transform the space into something that is unrecognizable as something someone else has in another large.
Yeah, me too.
And in my opinion, it is really completely unrecognizable as a large layout you have. I would think if I would begin to build that you had some kind of new instance, because it's just there's no way you worked around with the pillars and stuff like that. People don't usually do that. They limit themselves so much by
Yeah.
using the vanilla layout in the game, and not even using all the space, but also limiting themselves to the outside look of the house, to the pillars, to just look the boring same.
Yeah,
But
so
also-
you created a path, and just for reference, this is the workshop. So she just created a large path all the way here, but this is a way that you can see where to go.
It's
Ev-
just that dungeon, you know, creating your own dungeon, like creating your own way through this instance.
Yeah, leveling design. This is something that a lot of people don't think about, really creating a path in their house. Like the Naoshi walkthrough we did, how he did it. That was so beautiful, and this is a good example of it too.
This way you're guiding people to see exactly what you want them to see, rather than just coming in and feeling like, oh, where do I go?
Oh, wait, did I not visit the last room? Did I?
Well, it is fun to be able to explore and go in different rooms and like see a lot of things, but when you create your own path, then you as the designer are forcing the perspective. So the first thing when you walk in and you see, for my house, the first thing you walk in and see is the big windows, and that's what I wanted you to see. And
setting
as
the
you
focus.
go into the and as you go into the gym, you see the very first thing is the treadmill, and that draws your attention, and you're like, ooh, what's that? That looks like a treadmill. There's no treadmills in this game. And so it pulls you in, and it's like having a guided tour. Literally, that's what I wanted, is to pull you in and not force you, but guide you through the house, seeing exactly what I wanted you to see.
You will see what I did, but you have no choice.
Yeah, you will enjoy this. Sit down, buckle up, this ride's one way.
So I would say when you're making this, you are limited in the capacity of an FC because you had to make a path to the workshop.
Yes.
But you made it.
If I didn't need to make the FC rooms accessible, I would not have had to stretch so much into that corner, and I would have been able to make the ceiling that I wanted.
Custom
yeah.
ceilings.
It still works this way too, because there's so many other things that draw the eye, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the ceiling.
Exactly, I know, because it's so
Yeah.
high also, because it's so high, you don't really pay attention to that when you walk through, because, as you said, there's so much other things to actually look
Yeah.
at. There's
Well,
not always,
Like,
it's
it
always
wouldn't
nice
be the
to see.
ceiling for me.
Yeah.
My goal, actually, once I realized that I would not be able to hide it, was to make it as unnoticeable as possible. So I had black ceilings because I really like the infinity ceiling look that black ceilings give to a modern build, but when I could not loft the white rectangular partitions up there to hide all of the lines, I went with loam brown because it's the closest to the trim on the loft, and so I think it made it less noticeable, like just in the periphery of your vision as you're walking through, because it's all just mostly one color.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think about the lofts too. I always use loam brown on them because I really don't like the trim, especially if you're using a custom design. The trim around the loft is not gonna always line up perfectly, or is symmetrical too. So I tried to hide it as much as possible, and you did an amazing job with that too. Instead of just sticking with suit black, you did an amazing job just having a feeling of it not being there at all.
Yeah.
I love it a lot.
Well,
it flushes,
so where Ashen is now, right directly above her, is a full soot black ceiling in the sitting area. Not at the bookshelves, but literally directly above you.
Oh, you covered the trim of the black rectangular wall. I see it now.
That's what I was aiming for in the gym. It was hiding it with the white rectangular partition there, but
it would have been
didn't
too
work out
much.
with item count.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot of items. Someday I'll get to do that.
It'll happen. Do you have
Just pray that-
What about your private house? You haven't finished that yet, right?
So my private house is actually decorated by Div.
Oh right.
I occupied it.
Yeah, Div took over. But it is another good example of changing the layout completely. Actually.
Oh, we are actually going there? Okay.
Field trip.
I didn't think you would do that right now.
Well,
I haven't
we're
seen
going.
it. I haven't
It
seen
better
it
be
from,
open.
and
It is open.
I haven't seen it from another character's perspective, another race's one. I only saw it on my Lalafell, so I'm not entirely sure how it will look like. I hope it will be decent.
I had a Midlander in there earlier. She seemed fine.
Oh, okay.
So Divs
That's
is
all
another
ours.
good example of changing the layout of a house because he built it all on the first floor of the small. It's meant to be something of a Gridanian herbal like potion maker hut.
Yeah.
And I think it really reflects that.
Whoa, it's very cramped. Okay, hold on.
It was built by a Lalafell for a Lalafell. Oh, let me put some
Well,
clothes on.
this is so detailed.
Yeah, very detailed. Looks amazing.
And the atmosphere is amazing too. Like something you could find from in-game.
Yeah, this is also something I will always want to go for. As I said, I always just want to make something that you would find in game because, like last week we mentioned that people like to see something completely new. They want to be able to look at something they don't see in Eorzea, but I kind of disagree with it, and I want to see things that are in the game because I'm a huge sucker for immersion, and if I see something that is not really that well explained in the game, I don't know, I don't feel that comfortable with it. This is why I said I don't like modern designs too. But they still look good. Like, I don't want to just do them personally because I just want to feel immersed.
Princess?
Oh my god, please, Feng, don't do this to me.
And I don't think you're alone in that. I think there are a lot of people who play Final Fantasy because they want to be in Eorzea. And so, they want their houses to look like something that belongs in a fantasy game, in a fantasy world. So I don't think you're alone in that. Div says that he's mad that I didn't dye the loft windows, but I dyed the windows white on purpose, Div. I wanted them white.
Okay. But like up here, it was like, as I said, I didn't expect people to come over here, so I didn't.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like lump brown, like we mentioned it, to have a little.
Okay, so let me point this out. When I let Div build in my houses, I give him full access to all of my storages, and I tell him, you can use all of my furniture that's pure white, because in my last house I had pure white everything. But when you use items that are pure white, I am not going to dye over them with loam brown. So that loft is white.
Okay, that's understandable. Okay, I will fix it. I will post proper screenshots of that. Oh, you're already upstairs?
Isn't it cute?
I love this cupboard right here.
It's so cozy.
Yeah, I just kind of had to work with the things I had inside her storage because I didn't want to burn all her money because she already wasted so much on VFCs and stuff like that. But there are some things that are just needed in a house, something like the alchemy. I think you had a lot of those alchemy shelves, right, with all the bottles and stuff like that. So you didn't have to buy them. But there were a few things that I needed.
I honestly think with Div, his style specifically, he excels when you can just throw a bunch of junk at him and let him play. Like, he is the child in the toy box. He just grabs Legos and a Barbie and a T-Rex and like makes these amazing things.
Yeah, I just kind of, unlike Feng, I never paint anything. Like, I have this. I started out with I wanted to do a large ceiling height shelf with all bottles and alchemy stuff. I turned away from that and built an entire house out of it because I just went nuts because I had so many items available because Reps has a lot of stuff.
But wait, so you haven't played Sims, or have you?
I have played Sims. I have, but I haven't Sims 4. I haven't played 3. So I had like things I wanted to do in Sims, but I never really got too much into that because I started playing Final Fantasy. So yeah, initially it started out with this shelf here, this I don't even know what you would call it, just like the
rounded one area in the basement.
Yeah, and I wanted to make a very large one. It didn't work out how I wanted it, and I just modified it to be this little hut. And I really enjoy that because this is the kind of stuff I would download as mods in Skyrim and stuff like that, like little housing mods.
I
I
really
just
like
enjoyed it so
this.
much.
I actually love how you put the stairs right at the door. Usually people don't do that. They want you to go down into the house and then they have stairs. I like stairs by a door. That's more realistic for me.
I think I spent an entire night just breaking my brain how I will actually do this, because I wanted to cover up the wall, like this wall right here on the right of the door, but I just couldn't find a way to do that properly. So I just kind of had to improvise and hide it as much as possible. And I thought I would just make a very busy corner with all the stuff crammed into it, just like you would have in real life. And I added like little books. I was just way too lazy to add a beam here to cover the underside of the loft of the stair.
Well,
So
I think it works though.
it worked out very well because
So cute.
I added those like little books everywhere and here and there too, because I just felt I like things busy. I like things
Cluttered.
cluttered. Yeah, that was a word.
Now,
Thank you.
When I look at divs builds, usually I would say Japanese designers especially, they love a busy house, but what they do, and it's something I don't personally like, is they will overload it with verdant partitions and greenery, and it's kind of the samey
I
same
hate
texture.
conditions.
Yeah, and
think-
I don't mind it, but the thing Div does is he creates layers and layers of just tiny things.
Yeah, it's.
Yes.
I think I tried to, I thought about verdant partitions too. But then I remembered that in my current large commission I do, that the green color of it, for some reason, the wall planters and the verdant partitions green tone just doesn't speak to me. Like, I love this kinda unsaturated style, like this heaven sorty kind of feeling. I don't know what it is about it, but I just don't like too saturated colors. So I kind of stick to those different green tones and items that I can use, and use alternatives. And of course, certain partitions are expensive as shit. So
What? I have 4 of them in storage for you. But anyway, I agree about a lot of people using a lot of wall planters and verdant partitions and even the planter partitions. People use those a lot, and I feel like it's overdone. But the nice thing about them is that when you throw a verdant partition and a window together, they look pretty. They're gonna look pretty no matter what.
Yeah.
They look really good in screenshots, but dang if I get sick of seeing one verdant partition after another with light beams coming through.
I agree, and I don't like. Well, it's not that I don't like it, but if I see too many verdant partitions and too many full-size mounted bookcases, I just feel that's lazy, and you're just filling in the space.
And see, I like them. I liked them when they first came out. I liked the mounted bookshelves when I first started playing. They're so cool. Mounted bookshelves were the reason I started leveling Carpenter. But when you're new, that's acceptable. Like when you're just starting to do housing, or if you're new to the game or whatever, those are all, I love it. Go crazy, go wild, throw as many verdant partitions as you want.
Go crazy.
As you start refining your style though, start looking at some of the other items that the game has to offer, because there are a lot of cool items that this game has, and it's not, don't just stick with, the mounted bookshelf and the verdant partition, because while they are amazing and they're great staples of the housing options that we have, there are way more that you're not noticing yet. And I encourage you to branch out and try different things. I noticed a lot of people starting to use more brick now. Layering brick, we saw the one in FD layering brick with a purple stage panel. Like, that looked cool. Do more of that. I love
I remember that.
Textures.
Who was it? I just wanna know that I can be safe and sound to give them
remember
credits.
exactly.
It would be
Also-
in the housing show-off.
Yeah.
let me look. Y'all go ahead. I'm gonna find it.
Okay. Also, I wanted to mention in that house, you see how this little green thing, I used the 2 of those glade tables. Like, you can see it from the top. there's water down there with the bathtub.
I saw,
I tried to implement features of things that people would usually block off, and have it like I want to make a thing that is usually a nuisance because I only wanted to have an area where I could place all the plant stuff, right? But I thought, why not just use it as a feature, because it would make sense in a planter area to have some water source, right? Especially if you're doing alchemy and stuff like that. So give everything you have in a build a purpose, or just like Ashton would say, everything that is seen in the house should have a purpose. Don't just place things for the sake of it. Like,
That's well said.
Yeah, and just, I don't know, Ixion horns.
Like,
for
just make
example.
things like
Ixion horns,
meaningful.
he says. Oh, don't at people, Div.
Sorry, what did you say, Feng? Don't mind me.
It's just like make things like feel meaningful. Like they're not just there. Like they have a purpose, or like they have a story to tell. That's what I like to go for.
My
It's
immersion.
The immersion place where you have a build and you will know that someone lives in there. Especially why I love creating houses for role players is because I just enjoy them feeling like they are at home and not just any person would be able to live there. This is something that I love and would love to go for in the future too. Having story in a build that is told by the build itself is something that a lot of level designers strive for, and they really have a hard time doing that. And I think in housing we need more of that, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. I absolutely, like, when Div finished building this, I said, well, I'm not tearing this down anytime soon until I, like, have a really brilliant idea that I want to do in my own house, because I really love this house. Like, it makes me want to actually adopt this house into my character's story, even though I personally have just been more of a drag and drop, you know, McMansion type of designer. This makes me think, well, this was built for a Lalafell, and I'm a Lalafell, and I love Gridania, so this is Gridania, and I also am an alchemist, so this is perfect. This is where I live now. I'm a witch. This is my witch hut. This was that build that I was talking about with the brick and the purple. That's by Leela in the FD Discord, I mean, and I loved that use of different textures. You've got the smooth and the brick, and then there's the windows with the glade cupboards to make the arch on the trim. Like, it's gorgeous, and it's layering different textures, like I said, and she's still got a good amount of greenery in there with the planter partitions, but it's not overwhelming, you know?
Exactly, and this is something that we loved about Fang, how he used unconventional color combinations and made it look so perfect and nice. And this is another really great example. How many times do you see a combination of orange,
like a
reddish brick,
rusty red?
and with a purple, like, this is
purple.
something...
Like, I love this too.
Yeah, you don't see that, and I want to encourage for people to experiment, because we kind of need to get, in my opinion, sorry if I say that, but we need to get out of this all-white mentality. I think using more colors is something that is gonna bring so much fresh air into the community and into people getting inspired, because, I don't know, just having
Lead by example, Div. Lead by example. Start throwing some crazy colors in there.
Yeah, we had the white clean meta for a while. It's time to change up the meta, basically.
Time for the drug den to make its appearance.
Drug den. I will build so many more drug dens. Some are in work in progress already.
I mean, what is a potion shop but a legit drug den?
I know, right?
You need a potion to cure your
drug
wound?
addiction. My skooma addiction.
Get rid of this pain. Here's a Gridanian potion, aka Tylenol.
You know, I have some things beneath my, what is it called? In my back storage, you know, I have some things if you ask for it.
You've got some things in your back storage. Sounds like just an Eorzean way of saying that you've got some junk in your trunk.
And this is a Gridanian build, so it's perfect.
Exactly. There you go. I think the junk in the trunk was lost on the
junk in the trunk.
speaker.
Okay, enough about us. Let's go to Fang's place, because this is something we mentioned at the beginning, and I can't wait to see it when you walk through it.
Okay. Did you want to go now, or do you want to wait for the daytime? What's Mac's aesthetic? That's up to you, Feng.
No, that.
Do you
That's
prefer for
nighttime.
your houses to be seen in the day or at night?
Yeah, I kind of do because I do like the light that comes from the windows.
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
windows
I mean,
small, but it's
That's
still-
definitely
Yeah.
a big selling point for a lot of people is just how the windows interact with the, everything in the
with
house,
space.
the lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think also, like, we can talk about it while we wait for the game time to come. I think if you make a build that is based on the light of the windows, that's completely fine, right? Because we have people like Ashen who just go absolutely nuts on every single aspect of it. She will place the windows so at a certain time of day or at the majority of the time of the day, right? It will shine at perfect location.
Yeah. Well, I'm weird, but yes.
But that's also super clever, I would say.
Yeah, I must admit that is amazing what you do, Ashen. But I would also encourage people to not put their focus too much on it, because in the night, when you have an entire wall of windows, for example, it's not gonna be as great. Try to make a build look interesting in the dark too, because this is something that people don't usually go for, in my opinion. It's not too much of a focus for people. They just consider
Yeah.
the daytime, but never the nighttime. And
Well,
Sata did, for example.
I do like. Sorry, not to cut you off, but in terms
Yeah.
of windows, I like that people nowadays are making them kind of recessed and scalloped and not
Yeah,
not showing the
that's
full window, because when it's nighttime, it doesn't look as bad to me. Anyways,
That's true, because
that's
it's not just a huge area which is completely gray afterwards. It's something that is completely new, and I like it. I really like it. But I think having a build look great outside in the nighttime too, especially like I did in the little shed in the HUD, which I still don't have a name. I will take
The
one from
shed.
you, Rams. Sorry. I will just say that sometimes things look better in the dark, even if you have windows next to them. They will look better with certain light elements. But we also talked about lighting already, and
We did talk about lighting
yes.
in a previous
Yes.
podcast. I would go ahead and just say, though, that if you are making a build that you want to feel good and immersive both day and night, it's that you turn the light down to 0 during the nighttime and just look around. Like, when you think you're, done with an area or whatever, turn the light down, make sure it's not daytime, and look around and say, does this look right? Like, where would I need light here? Where would
Exactly.
my character need a light? And put some light in there. And like Ashen said in the previous podcast, you can hide it inside items and it'll look good. I've hidden lamps inside walls where windows are so that I'll get more reflection on the floor close to the window. Just play with different lighting.
yeah, I hide lights, especially lately. When you lower the ceiling, you're losing so much light suddenly, and I didn't really realize that at the time. And on my screen, it looks fine because I have reshade and it makes it brighter. But my FC mate came to visit and he took screenshots, and he's on PlayStation, and it was so dark, I was stunned. And ever since then, I raised up the house lighting, which is something I normally don't do, and I started to focus more on putting just small lights on kind of little corners and stuff like that, so it's not completely dark. And I started putting lights up high.
using the lights on a high level is also something people don't usually do. As we talked about it in the past podcast, where we talked about lighting, we talked about using it close to a wall and how to sink it into the wall to dim the light a bit, right? But having them on a high area, I don't think we've seen that before. Like at least a lot around. If I think about it now, right? We haven't seen that
yeah.
around.
I think it depends on probably how people want to show it. In my house, I have a lot of hidden lanterns, wall lanterns, up really high. You can't see it, but it adds ambient light that I lost lowering the ceiling. But as for people showing lanterns, I don't really know of too many besides chandeliers. People like to make chandeliers.
Yeah, custom chandeliers are really trendy right now.
Yeah, I've seen them too.
we've seen Venom in VFCS. We worked it for
Yeah.
Rhapsody. We
I had some metal and
Sync.
pipe chandeliers.
Would you say
Yeah.
the chandelier casts a lot of light?
Mine?
Or just in general? I've noticed when I make chandeliers, I usually use the lamp Marimo thing, and it doesn't feel bright enough still for me.
Okay, so when I made my Marimo lamp chandelier, that thing has a lot of concentrated light. Like, it is bright
Oh,
right in
yeah.
the center of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, it is like blinding. But it doesn't put out obviously as much light as a regular chandelier would, you know, the natural ones. I don't think it even puts out as much light as a Glade tabletop lantern.
Oh, I gotta
The
disagree.
Glade
with you here.
tabletop lantern. You think so? Okay, I love the Glade tabletop lantern. It puts out a strong amount of light, and I think it's
does.
pretty.
It does, but what I want, can you
go
offer
for
a second? Remember when I put down the Maribel lights and I told you to get me 3 more in the hut?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think I didn't use them?
Oh,
My-
yeah,
my-
I mean,
my-
look, they're very. I just didn't think that the cool light fit in here. You have a lot of warm light.
Yeah, that's true, but also my poor cavemen, adjusted to dark eyes, are just not able to handle all that concentrated light in one area.
It is a glaring white light. Like, think of it like fluorescent lights when you're used to a warm LED, like normal light. You know,
Yeah.
it's just very bright.
I sit in
But
the dark.
The chandeliers that I made, the custom ones with the pipes and the photo plate, I went ahead and in each of those I hid 2 of the tabletop lamps in the ceiling above them. Put out plenty of ambient light on their own. So, I mean, technically, even though that chandelier is only 2 items, it's actually 4 because each of them has 2 lanterns in them.
Now when I think about it, I remember how you showed that concept off. Did someone? I don't think you got it. You just found it up by accident, right? With the ceiling lamp? You did? Industrial
That chandelier, I did not. I don't think I from anywhere else. I don't. I know.
Well, the pipes that FF14 Titan had done before, and we were talking about it, but the
Yes.
bottom of the tray,
That's how.
bottom of the
a
tray
good
was
point.
Rhapsody, I think.
Yeah, so yes, FF14 Titan 2 on Twitter had the bottom of the sink with a Riviera lamp just in the base of the pedestal.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember that now. Thank you for bringing that up, Ashen. And so that, and then I just put the dodo thing underneath to create like a. What I really wanted was one of those like longer. Remember I showed you, Ashen. I don't know how to describe this. It was like a metal and wood with, you know, just like light bulbs on it, like this
Yeah.
kind of rustic, industrial chic kind of design for a chandelier in real life, like an actual picture of it. But I wasn't able to pull that off, but something good came of it, and it worked out that way. I did get some inspiration from, I think it was Dayu?
Yeah, Dayu had the candles, remember? On the plate?
Yeah, Dayu had candles on a tray, on a cake tray, I think. And I liked that. I liked how that looked, but I did not like it for my industrial chic build, so I didn't end up using the wooden tray or the candles, but the metal tray of the dodo worked really well with the pipes. So it's kind of, I mean, it's like how everyone, I think, makes things. You just grab things from here and there, things that you've seen in real life, things that you've seen in game, and you put it all together to make your idea. And so I don't like ever saying that, I don't feel comfortable ever saying that any of my ideas are original, because I just don't think that there are that many, because I've drawn influence from so many different places, learned from so many different people, that it's all a culmination of past experiences. Like let's get real deep here, guys. That's all we are. We're all just culminations of our past experiences, okay?
That's like some
We
kind
are
of
always borrowing someone else's
I-
ideas. That's just how it works.
yeah.
I think the herbs over this fireplace are getting into my brain, Div. We need to get out of here.
I told you
kind of Chuck
it's immersive.
Palahniuk quote.
It's an immersive experience, even though you are not in game.
No joke.
But what I want to mention before is what I want more in this game regarding lighting. I want more animated light. like, do you know how the brass candles have this flimmering glow of a flame?
The flicker, yes.
Yeah, the flicker. I enjoy this so much. I think this is the reason why I use them mainly. First, for the color, the light level they give off, and the flicker. But we don't have many of those items in the game, and I think that's a shame and a waste opportunity, to be honest. Like, having something like... First of all, we desperately need something like the blade lamp, which is able to be turned on and off. This is something I want desperately. But I'd also want like a flicker, like as if it's a broken neon tube, right? Do you know what I mean? Imagine
neon
having
tube, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think when we talked about the abandoned house again last week, I thought about it how to like imagine having like a lamp just flickering in the corner. The feeling it gives off when you go through the house, especially in level design, right? How we talked about before in your house. Having a certain path and where you have like a flickering light will give it some creepy vibes, for example.
Div, I have an idea.
Oh yeah, what's up?
What you do is you hire a Lalafell full time to sit above your Pisa lamp and just keep clicking it.
Oh my gosh.
I will. Okay, listen. Whenever I will do roleplay in this game, which I will never do, but if I will just
He
hire
loves
Lawful
role
just for
players.
that.
Yeah, he loves roleplay.
I
but
love
from a
roleplays.
distance. So Div, actually, speaking of your love of the brass picket, I actually you're gonna be so proud of me. I actually utilized that because I noticed that it had like that fire flicker to it, and I hid it in
the fireplace.
my fireplace in the FC
I
house.
knew it.
So that the light on the floor would actually flicker and have that warm fireplace light to it. That oh my goodness, I made Div proud.
I'm so proud of you because the fireplace has a flicker. Like you can, you are still here, right? You can see it, but it doesn't reflect on the floor. It's just a static light on the floor. But with Cricket, it's actually adding a lot. This is something that people don't consider animated objects and having something. Man, this is way beyond immersive. I draw my happy for you. Holy shit, this is nice. This is such a nice idea.
Well, okay, so that actually reminds me of something that my friend constantly brings up whenever we go visit Ashen's builds, is that Ashen likes to have the ashtray on a desk, like especially in her house. I have a bunch of books, a bunch of paperwork around, and my friend works in a library, and she goes, that is a fire hazard. No one would ever be smoking a cigar near this much paper. And I was like, look, that's not what it's about, okay? It conveys, the paperwork and the cigar convey a phonetic stress level, okay? And the smoke from the movements, the items that have movements, so like the brass picket flicker, like the steam coming up from different, food items, and the smoke coming up from the ashtray. A lot of designers like to use this to draw attention and create immersion in a build. Like that's literally what they're for, is to try to make it look like something is moving within the house. That's what the smoke and the steam and the flames do. You don't just want a flat static house. You want some sort of movement. And I'm not talking about the Pisa alarm clock, okay? That thing drives me insane. Don't ever. Not that movement. Gentle, slow movement.
You live by that, am I right? Okay. But I totally get what you mean. But there's also having screenshots can convey a lot of nice features about a build, especially when you have a nice reshade, for example, with a lot of the MXAO settings. But having people walk into your house and experience like many different things, like they see animated objects, they see flickering light, and what I personally think is super underrated in housing is sound effects. The music conveys a lot of emotion to it, conveys a lot of feeling and atmosphere to it.
That's true.
But in a build I did a while ago, it is the Sky Pirates office I did for a roleplayer friend of mine, and I used the Alexander kind of piano. No, was it the Alexander table, right? It has this steam, like this sound effect from
Yeah.
time to time. And imagine being on an airship and hearing that in the background, even though you don't see it. Something that people underrate a lot, in my opinion.
For sure, that's definitely, and you get that from in your Garlean build. You had all those armorcraft forges that gave that off as well. Lots of like mechanical sounds in the background.
Yeah, I really like to convey that feeling of being able to walk into a place and feeling like you are in a actual location. Also ties into the immersion part of the usual
So,
feeling.
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Feng,
Yeah, of
I
course.
saw you jump, or I heard you. Sorry, no, I saw you. I heard you jump in on the orchestrion. Do you like to use the orchestrion roles to create more of an immersive feeling in your house, or do you just play the songs that you like and that's what would be playing on your radio is just your favorite songs?
I couldn't do those things at the same time. I like those roles that I play, but they're also like I play them on purpose to. They're supposed to somehow add something to the space that I have created, and yeah, I do play roles that I like, but they also have a meaning too.
Okay, see, Ashen and Div both claim to play with no background music on,
Claim.
and that
It's
Yeah.
true.
surprised- well, okay, sure, whatever, you do.
I was surprised
Um,
to hear that. Like I always play music. Like there has to be music.
I for
See,
some
it
reason.
actually
No
makes me a
way.
little sad because in my FC house, I have not picked songs that I would say are my favorite orchestrion roles. They're not the songs that I would say I love this Final Fantasy music. This is why I have this song. The songs that I have in my FC house are meant to fully add to the atmosphere of the modern masculine like house with the gym and all of that stuff. Like I picked like the jazzy, smooth songs so that it would fit that atmosphere completely and fully envelop you in all of your senses, not just your eyes. And it makes me a little sad that Ashen showed it off without sound on.
Well,
Oh.
maybe okay, so this is actually a good time for me to plug this. We have a YouTube channel that we're trying to add things to, and I have been doing full no commentary walkthroughs of houses from our walkthrough request. And so, Rhapsody, just for you, I will walk through your FC and make it all nice and pretty, okay?
Yay!
Oh my god.
Well, so since Feng said that he did try to make his house with the orchestrion role included, will you turn on your sound for this one?
Girl, I have been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay. Alright.
Alright, so it is daytime. We are going, this thing is up here on the stairs. We're
Yes, I
going to
am.
tour. I don't know if
Like
you can
what
hear the
you're facing.
music.
He's shy, that's why he's not coming down. There we go.
Alright, so Feng, let's see. I don't know how to pronounce that. How do you call your house?
You mean the name that I have given to it? Quaching. I don't know myself either. I got this name from a game that I really like.
Oh, which one
What's
is
the
it?
game?
Vampire, the Masquerade, Cloudlines. Like, do you know that game?
Yeah, I actually do.
It has a really long name. I don't remember that anymore. Vampire, Bloodlines, Masquerade, something like that.
I love that name. I'm gonna look into that actually.
No, that's
Like,
so
it's
random.
super dark. It's super gothic. I love it.
Well, why?
I like the dark aesthetic in that game. It's kind of gothic. It's kind of, but it's kind of not gothic. It's kind of modern, kind of like my builds too. So it's kind of dark, like
Okay.
yeah, it's dark and modern. Yeah, that's what I like.
Alright, and your greeting here, it says, "Hi, I do interior designs and I'm currently open for commissions. DM me on
Wow.
Discord, Feng Lin,
Get that money,
7311.
boy.
Yeah,
You guys heard it.
he needs,
guys heard it.
He needs to do a large, everyone.
Yeah.
Looking for
Give him some
client-
opportunity. This is not sponsored, okay?
Nice beach plot here.
Very pretty. I see
I
you
really
brought the
enjoy it.
yellow outside too.
I must admit, I don't think I've seen a lot of people paying attention to their descriptions and house names, especially with a meaning.
Ugh,
I would like to see that more.
I do. What?
that's something I plug all the time. You gotta change the name to something that matches your house style, and you gotta make the greeting something that your character would. Sounds like you're the odd one out, Div. he did the thing with his voice.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
You just did that with your voice.
All right. Well, here we are.
Man, let's focus on the build. This is the best place I've visited. And I also love, we just talked about it, music. It's the Shiva piano piece.
Yeah,
Oh no,
Oblivion.
not piano. Yeah, it's Oblivion. And I have this playing in my FC house because I don't play with any custom music on. I just hear this on just constantly. And this captures the classy feeling you mentioned before.
Yeah,
So nice. This is
It's
perfect
kind
for
of
it.
gloomy too.
It's so gloomy. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love the gloominess too.
Since we've seen the pictures, there's been differences here and there. Like you have the aquarium there. This hasn't been in the pictures, for example, right?
I remember.
I remember
seeing
him
that.
posting it. Like,
Yeah, I remember him
posting it.
posting it and how it was, just part of the Tsukiyomi trimming. Like, it's not the whole
Yeah.
thing; it's just part of it, and I love it.
I think I lost it when I saw that. Didn't I? Wasn't I like people?
You
please
did.
don't-
You absolutely.
Oh
lost
yeah,
it.
I did.
Yeah, I think you were like, you don't have to display the whole thing, like, yeah, that's great. I
Well,
think you
okay,
should
so-
do that.
That is just a microcosm of just housing in general. Like, you don't have to display the whole thing. It can look really
Yeah.
cool if you just show part of it, even though you spent a lot of money on. It's an expensive trimming, and houses are expensive. But if you create it
excuse me?
custom, it looks cool. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I
custom.
just want to show my Ixion trophy in
Oh my
full
god,
beauty.
Div, please. Feng, what exact shade of yellow is that?
This is let me check that.
I thought it's honey, something like
It looks like honey yellow to me.
yeah.
It looks like curl, maybe.
Need to click that wall. Sorry.
In before he breaks his build because of us.
There's a paint bucket. Thought that's the same dye.
I love the paint bucket, by the way. That I can just imagine you like trying different paints and like throwing the same dye onto the paint bucket. Like, this is what I'm doing today.
Yeah, million corn.
Million
what?
corn.
Million corn.
Million
Okay.
corn.
I thought that was a cursed
jeez.
image for a second, but it was just Feng's ears popping out of the wall.
Now,
I'm
since you
stuck in the stairs.
mentioned hiding pieces of furniture, look what he did. Very subtle, but he hid the bookshelf, the bottom of it.
Oh my goodness! I love that.
I got that from BJ.
So- Oh, it's great. Hey, no shame, dude. No shame. BJ's brilliant.
I can finally walk into the bookshelves however wanted. Just straight up walk into
Oh, we have a visitor.
Oh,
Who is it?
Oh,
yeah.
they brought some champagne. Here it is.
Oh boy. Big Kamuza.
Oh, they're running away. They're running away.
I love me some golden shower. Okay. Should we go upstairs?
want to become
Follow.
famous.
Oh no, before we go upstairs, look at the transition. It's not a straight gray wall. Do you see how it's like a lighter gray, a darker gray, and it becomes the gradient?
Yeah, the gradient.
I love this. No one
got
pays attention. to it.
Umbra walls. It's beautiful.
Haven't seen
I
you walk
love the
there.
trim all the way around too, by the way,
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
the
the
exact
trim.
level all the way around. It's perfect.
It's so consistent. It's not half-assed. You put so much work into it, and I appreciate so
That
much
is
work.
commitment right there. That's
Yeah, I
committing
love
to an
commitment.
idea.
Mhm. I remember when we first talked about it. You had like you didn't have the rectangular wall up here. You had something
Ah!
else, right? Or you had
Yeah.
no. Wait, you had nothing at
Actually
all,
broke
right?
it.
Yeah, this used to look really, really different. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember it. I liked the open field. I even said I liked it more without it. But now being inside the house, it makes it feel more secure, and just
Yeah,
having.
it does.
I think I don't know why, but the feeling of standing up here and like resting our arms on it. I don't know. I would love to do this in real life right now.
See, that to me looks like the modern loft builds that I've been trying to achieve ever since the loft came out. This actual loft item. Like, you can look in the IRL inspiration pictures in FD, and a lot of pictures of lofts that I've posted have like this nice railing with the lofted bedroom overlooking the living area, and like Feng just achieved it perfectly. Like, I am envious right now because this is exactly what I wanted for my own build and never quite achieved it, and it looks perfect here.
Yeah, I will say Feng's layout, this is the most copied layout that I've seen.
Oh yeah, same. I have seen this around on both Tumblr and Twitter so much, and I think sharing your ideas with people, so they copy it almost exactly, right? Sometimes people add things, but if you see something being copied one-to-one, either you're being offended, or you are just being so flattered, because imagine someone being so impressed by a build that they wanted for themselves desperately. It's something that
I think Feng should be flattered because he's only been playing this game 6 months and he has like what, 4 builds out there. If people are already copying him one-to-one, that is just a mark of pure genius on his part. Like, he's someone to follow, y'all. Y'all need to keep tabs on this one and watch him for ideas in the future because he is about to blow our minds even more. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah, Sleepy Quail, the ceiling is a checkerboard as well, and this wall too, I just noticed.
This wall is so reminiscent of BJ's like modern art stage
I used
panel.
to paint inside to create this wall. And...
Oh my god, I just noticed that. Holy fuck!
Yeah,
Okay, if you come here, we talked about the trim, how you did it in the ceiling at your place, right, Raps? Look at how he has this trim aligned to this wall right here. Like, man, do you see that? Like, this is something that you would never pay attention to if you didn't look very, very closely. And I remember when you first did the work in progress, how I just lost it when I saw like little details in your build. I just went completely nuts because people don't do that usually, and I'm envious of that.
I only have one question. Why is the fireplace so tall?
Oh no.
I don't really know. Like, I think I like. It's like I did a mistake, and then I just let that mistake be. Like, I never like go back to this fireplace anymore.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Don't
But-
defend it. You don't need to defend it. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Why-
it's just
why
I was
think-
wondering if maybe in the beginning you had a lofted floor down here.
Yeah, because this was the first thing that I saw floating here. So I just let that be after that. Like, I didn't get back to this anymore because I thought like I'ma break it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. The way that you did it looks so purposeful because it lines up with the trim around the middle of the walls. Like, I thought it was a design choice, and it looks amazing that way. It's very, like, I don't know how to explain it. It looks like it belongs there, so I wouldn't ever change it because it just looks perfect.
Yeah, this
First of all,
house is like, I would say this house is full of accidents. Like it wasn't
Happy little
planned.
accidents.
Happy,
Happy,
just like Daddy Ross would say.
Daddy Ross.
Like even this whole mirror's edge thing was an accident. Like I never, like I was never thinking that I'm gonna go for yellow and black. Like that was just
Holy
an
shit.
accident too.
I was about to talk about that before. I wanted to keep it until the very end. I was so reminiscent of the Mirror's Edge art style when I looked at your build, right? The typical white and red from Mirror's Edge, but they also had so many different level designs where they had like blue and white, yellow and black. They had so many different things, and it was very reminiscent of that because it's such a sleek look, and I really, really enjoy it. Why I first thought the fireplace was like that, and why I like the fireplace in the first place, it has perfect symmetry. It is perfectly centered, like the area above it and beneath. It's not perfect, most likely, right?
Yeah.
But it fits in so perfectly. If you
Oh
would
yeah,
have-
it doesn't stick out.
It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. And if you would have it on, like, let's say, hip level, for example, and you would have an entire empty space above it, it wouldn't feel as great as it is right now, in my opinion.
So, I want to jump in here. Can we talk about how Feng, even as a new designer, was willing to make accidents part of his build and experiment and find new things that worked, you know, even if he didn't mean to, they worked for him and he ran with it. Like, for example, I remember him playing with different chandeliers in the Work in Progress channel. And saying, you know, which chandelier looks best? Do I really like this one? I really like this one, but it doesn't quite work. What Feng ended up doing with this, what is this one? Divine chandelier. I remember him saying, yeah. I remember, Feng, you said you really liked this chandelier, but it just wasn't working because the rotating things were just, you know, rotating through the ceiling because you have a lowered ceiling. Yeah. And so you ended up, what is that? A glade pillar?
I think it's a glade pillar, yeah.
Yeah, you ended up lofting a glade pillar to make a custom base for the divine
that was
chandelier.
An accident. Or let's say it wasn't an accident, but I wasn't thinking it's gonna look this good.
I think
that's what I mean, experimentation.
This is the example of when I first did the stairs and I didn't like that it's empty beneath it. This is the exact same thing. I added a beam there, so it's not as empty, and you added a pillar there, so it's not that empty. It adds so much, and you don't see that around, because people, they place it down there like, okay, that's gonna look good. And they keep it like that, but you innovate. This is something
Things like that are how our community progresses, and when you share what you've done, and you've shared the picture, and you say, this is what this is, look at how good it looks, and you're willing to let other people, you know, use that instead of just keeping it all to yourself, that's how we progress. That's how people start making more custom chandeliers and stuff like that. Like, it just, I love it. I think that you have taken this concept of, you know, a community that's willing to work together and all of that, and just run with it. I love that. I love how you are not afraid to share your works in progress, you know, with other people, even though you're not done and, you know, you're not ready to like showcase it yet, but you're still showing, oh, hi Feng, but you're still showing everyone, you know, what your thought process is and what your design process is. It's just, it's wonderful. It's refreshing. I love it.
Thank you.
I also think, for some reason, your character, the glamour, and your character personally just fits into this place.
It does.
Very
you look like an architect. You look like a modern architect.
It basically does, and this is something which...
This glam.
Oh my god. You look like you're gonna let me sit down there and make me an offer I just can't refuse.
Well.
For some reason.
Oh boy.
My god.
So, shipped, by the way.
Okay.
So, also, let's just talk about, real quick, expounding on what I said about that work in progress thing. Do you remember when someone saw Feng's works in progress, and before he was even done and ready to show his house to the world, copied his house one for one?
Oh yeah, that pissed
and
me
posted
off.
it before he posted his.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is what I'm.
Did someone really do that?
I wanted to.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
I don't think anyone brought that up to Feng personally. It's something that we were discussing.
I know Feng saw it in FD.
I know he saw it, but I don't think he understood the implications.
I thought like they were posted afterwards, not like before I posted
It was
mine.
It was in between, yeah. So the thing is, I think I saw it on I saw it on Tumblr, and I was like, wait a second, didn't I see that before? And I was just looking through just to make sure, yeah, this is what Feng did. Is this Feng? It wasn't. And then I was like, wait, what? I just completely lost it. This is also what I wanted to touch on when I mentioned people copying it almost one-to-one. I didn't want to point it out, especially. I just wanted to, like,
I'm just a steamroller. Just
I was about to say, you're like chaotic good over here, Rhapsody.
I mean, like, it is flattering, but it's also a little weird for a designer to have their work posted before their own.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
For people in the chat, just to understand what happened, Feng, and it's what we've been talking about, Feng had been posting a work in progress for a very long time at this particular house. And it was in a big Discord, the fashion decoration Discord. And
Yeah.
on the same day, he went public, on Housing Snap as an official thing. Someone else had the same exact build, and they posted their own. And I feel you shouldn't do that when the original designer hasn't even posted yet.
It kind of makes it feel weird because usually when you are inspired to that extent, in this case, for example, because it was very heavily inspired by Feng, waiting until they post it officially would be nice. Of course, once you do that, maybe it's just a mistake, right? There was no bad intent behind it. There was no.
Well, because that person did say that they liked Feng so much.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
They did give him
say.
credit.
The thing
Afterwards.
is, afterwards,
Yeah,
once
afterwards,
people
yeah.
started saying something, they edited.
Like, this is not supposed to be a witch hunt, even if that person listens to
no.
us. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
definitely not.
It was just an interesting case.
Yeah, it is an interesting taste. So if you see someone do like work in progress, and they are inspiring you, like last week we mentioned it, like you can mention it. I would love. Imagine how how Feng would have felt if they posted, and the day he posts that build, he sees someone is being inspired by that. That must feel so good to that person, and it's just a little thing you give them back for inspiring you.
I love personally giving credit because I don't feel like it takes away from my accomplishment. I don't feel like I am any less for telling people that I got an idea from Ashen or from BJ or from Div.
Yeah.
I never feel like that lessens my accomplishment. And so if I'm able to give back to them and thank them for coming up with this great idea and inspiring me, then it's so simple as just saying, loved Ashen's idea, copied it for myself, added my own stuff, looks great, love it, here's my build. I don't think that it's necessary. You don't need to cite your sources down to, God created Eden and then there was man. No need to go that far, y'all.
Yeah,
But if there was a particular build and if you remember their name off the top of your head, or even if you don't, just say, hey, I saw this build somewhere, I really liked it, gonna copy it, here it is. It just makes the other person feel good. And when you make them feel good, then they want to make more. And that just builds the community stronger.
Yeah, I would say that the community is I like it when people can respect, and it's like a peer thing, because you're looking to your peers, you don't want to alienate anybody.
I mean, at some point, there are a lot of different kind of people in the world, so it might happen that you alienate someone by not even trying to offend anyone, for example, right? But this build in particular, as you guys mentioned, is somewhat of a good example for a community, how we gave our opinion and it influenced the build itself. And I want to see more of that. And if I think about it now, do you guys think that giving credit is... Man, how do I put this into words? It's hard to explain. Giving credit to someone directly is a good way to go on about it, or just mentioning it in their builds when they upload it? Should people go up to the people they get inspired by?
Yeah.
Should they initiate a conversation about it and get to know them? Because I think this is something that the community also lacks.
Yeah.
Especially because of the language barriers. Okay, language barriers can be a thing, right?
Yeah.
So
I noticed
even Ashen as an example, being able to on Twitter just at someone, at the designer that you drew inspiration from, has caused her to build relationships with people even through a language barrier. She's good friends with Tina Asuto now because of that.
And yeah, this is exactly what I mean. For example, because in this time we are as connected as never before, but sometimes people are afraid of it. And do you guys think it's encourageable to just do exactly stuff like that, reach out to them directly, or just look at them from afar and be a good example?
I don't know.
Hard situation. It's really hard because sometimes I feel like people are afraid of being like, oh, they will never notice me, something, but you know?
Yeah, you know what Sleepy said? Soryu's sewing machine, and Soryu's been pretty much AFK since Twitter, but here, when he comes back, he is happy that Sleepy went and copied it, and no hard feelings or anything, very flattered. And I think it is good to, you know, put it out there and try to initiate something with someone that you admire.
I think that is really, really a good idea, because most of the time, if you do it in a respectful way, they are going to be happy. If you don't, you know, find a way to post it and say, hey, I loved this person's idea so much that I used it myself, if you don't give them credit like that for a one-to-one, then they're more likely to be a little upset, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
This is what I meant.
if you're going to reach out to them and say, hey, your idea was great, loved it, I loved it so much I put it in my house, how can you react negatively to that? Like, it's just such a respectful way of phrasing it that it only brings positive feelings into the relationship to start it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's only just it's just basic acknowledgement, and when you put something out there, you want some kind of, not vindication, but you want people to notice it, to like it, and to, I guess, notice you.
You want acknowledgement. Yes, notice
Yeah.
me, senpai.
Yeah. And to not be noticed, to be ignored, and everything. Yeah, that can hurt, especially from an artistic standpoint of housing.
Yes, that is
So
a
what
big deal. That these are people who are artists. I mean, what we're doing here, what we're designing, it's art. It is. And so, as an artist, if you are feeling like you're not being acknowledged for your work, that can make you
That's
not
the
want
worst.
to do it anymore, you know?
Yes, and I hate that when I've seen it with some of my friends. They like to design, they love housing, they show it off to people, and people are just critical or they don't like it, just not very encouraging, and they stopped doing any type of housing, and that, I don't like that. They should.
That's just, I don't think that that's a healthy way to foster a community. To be critical of someone who's maybe just starting or hasn't quite, you know, focused on it as much as you have yet. You know,
Exactly.
I think that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and for me, I can
Yeah.
always look for something positive, and I can always tell if someone shows me their house, I can always tell what they're proud of, and I'm going to say something about that. And
yes,
it's not that I'm just like, oh, you know, going to be soft and
it's
cuddle
it's
them.
not fake.
Yeah, I'm being very
Yeah.
sincere, and I really love it when people show me things, and I don't want someone to ever give up because it's not good
Oh
enough.
my god, never give up.
Never
Well,
give up.
no, you don't want, because here's the thing. If you have a new person come into housing and they make their first design, and it might not be a BJ, it might not be a Nora Rappy, you know, they're someone who just started and they are enjoying it. It's a fun part of the you know, game. And so if you can nurture that, you know, as
Yes.
someone, another designer, another player, just some stranger that they don't know, come into their house and leave them a nice message. And even if you don't necessarily like the design as a whole, remember back to your first design and think about how you would have done it, or, you know, just think about where you came from and where they're starting, and always look for one thing, just one thing that you liked, even if you just like the way that they set up the windows, and say, I love the lighting in here, your windows are beautiful, I could sit by this window all day. You know, it's not insincere, it's real. You have to find the one thing that you feel you want to encourage them to continue to do, because then they'll say, oh my goodness, this person loved my windows, I want to make more windows like this, you know?
Yes.
And you're growing them, and in their next build they'll focus on, you know, doing more like that and less like the other things, you know what I mean? Like, you just want to encourage. That's all I'm saying, is just find ways to encourage new designers, because they could grow and become Feng, and now suddenly people are copying Feng, and you're like, wow, this person came up with great ideas. Oh my goodness, I love it. Well, Feng started somewhere too, you know, we all did.
I think as a perfect example, Ashen is, in my opinion, the perfect example for that. When she first started out on Tumblr, I think we mentioned this before, 5 notes, 6 notes for like every build she did. And I wanted to encourage her because I saw potential. I'm a very cynical person. I hate people and I don't like to talk. But
Good thing
really?
we got a podcast talking.
But at some
Somehow I buy that.
but at some point, you kind of see that there's something there that people enjoy. You see that people enjoy what they do. And if you see that little spark, that little thing that could initiate an entire, like, it could light up as an entire flame, like Asha did. I was like very active on the Tumblr housing community, and she just started out, and I pushed her. I tried to show her to different designers, for example, when there were very few, for example. I think you remember that, Asha. No one was active on Tumblr, right?
Yeah.
But she posted more, even though she got no notes, but she slowly got there, and we slowly supported her, and people noticed her, and she became, as I would say, she outgrew every NA designer, in my opinion, and became something that people copy in almost every senses. We got a podcast, we talk about things here, and this is something that I want to see more often in this community.
Yep. Don't get discouraged. I started out the lowest of low, had no idea what I
Oh
was
yeah.
doing. I would put up designs every week, and yeah, no acknowledgement. There wasn't any Discord. I was just on Tumblr, not getting any kind of attention. It didn't bother me because all I wanted to do was just make stuff, and that's ultimately
Just have
what I still
fun.
want to do. Yeah, and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't get discouraged if it's not something you want, or if someone, and I would have people be critical of things, but you know what? At the end of the day, I just kept doing it, because that's what I like to do.
Something before we wrap this up, I wanted to talk about this again. I talked about this before with you guys in private, but if someone posts something and they don't ask for their opinion, and maybe there is something you would like personally to give them some help and give them some advice, would you just straight out do it, or ask if they want to hear an opinion first? Because as you guys said, it's fine to talk about something you really like about a build. You can always see what they're proud of. But if you see that there's potential for something and you just want to mention it, would you DM them? Would you like ask them first? Because
yeah,
this
definitely.
I brought up.
I would suggest it to them, yeah. And I did that with Feng, actually, on his bookcase. Little thing.
Yeah, you did that, and it worked super
Yeah.
well. It looks so good. I love it.
I'm just always so unsure, because sometimes I see people post something that they're proud of, and I see that there's a lot of good stuff behind it, but there's little things that you could improve, right? And I'm never too sure whether to say something or not. This is also a personal thing. This is something I wanted to talk about before we wrap this up.
Maybe for next week, but
Oh, right. Okay.
yeah, maybe
Cutting it
next
off.
week we can discuss how constructive criticism, and especially not unwanted criticism, but if you see something and, for instance, something could be done better, if it looks not all the way done, I don't think it's a problem exactly to say something. But again, it's not. Is it your place to say something? That's gonna be an interesting topic.
For next
I like
week.
that. I'm excited
Also-
to talk about that already.
Kriya, this is thanks Feng Lin's house. Can we get a plot link actually, so people can visit after the stream?
Ashen's got it in there already.
Ah, she
actually.
already got it.
Yeah, wham
Smart
bam.
though.
All
But yeah,
right. Well, this basically concludes our podcast this week, right, guys?
Yep.
Rhapsody, did you come up with a final word that we're going to be saying from now on?
I did. If you looked in Discord, you could see it.
Oh,
Stick to the script. Come on.
Read the prompter.
Come on, please.
Is this a script?
oh, wait, what? Oh, I
No.
didn't see this. Oh god. All right. So Ash
Just
should
kidding.
say it was the.
Oh my god! Oh, girl! Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay.
Keep it rolling, keep the tape
Oh
rolling.
yeah, you're right. Okay, so we're doing this live. All right. So it was great meeting Feng Lin. Check out his build. Join our Discord. An FD Discord and follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube to keep up with our podcast. Thank you for joining us, Feng. Thank you for everyone watching us live in chat.
you.
If you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you for watching us. Div.
Lol.
Div, until next episode.
Y'all, you don't read your own name! Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. Have a great weekend. It was awesome. We'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Happy hosting.
Bye.
Y'all kill me.